Hi everyone. So we're on day 3 of Manifest with Marlene 7 Days of Magic. Some mouthful. So what I want to talk to you today about is focus. So when you're manifesting and when you want to bring in something into your life, um, the most important thing is to understand that wherever your attention goes, is is basically what you're manifesting. You know what I mean? Now don't get freaked out about it and think about that everything that you're looking at that's bad is going to come to you, because we're given that kind of grace that we can, as I say, delete whatever we don't want. So if you're in a situation where, you know, you're, say just for example, you're very tired all the time. You're very lethargic all the time. Now, going on the purest level that you create your own reality, that tiredness is telling you something. That tiredness is the part of you that's out of alignment. And when you go into this on a deeper level, and you start to look at where your focus is going. Sorry, I was literally crying laughing earlier there, so it looks like I just woke up. But if you look at where your focus is most of the time, what are the words that you say most of the time? Now, for a long time, I used to say things like, "Oh my God, I'm wrecked." It was really dramatic way of just saying, I felt a little tired and I needed a nap or I needed to eat something. But I said it all the time, "Oh my God, I'm wrecked tired." I used to say it so much. And then I would wake up in the morning and I'd be like, and I'd look forward to going to bed and I'd say, "Oh, I can't wait to go to bed." And this went on for a while until, obviously I started really looking and becoming aware of what I was saying. And I was like, God, I say that a lot. And my dad actually years ago, just out of nowhere, said to me, "You say the word hard a lot. That's very hard, you know?" And like it was my own words coming back to bite me because I had given him the Anthony Robbins book. But it, it, it I became conscious of it, and I stopped using that word with the same frequency that I had been using it. So if we apply this to bringing awareness to where your mind goes. Now, if you spend even an hour trying to be present, seriously, it will blow your mind how much you go out, how much you drift. You know what I mean? And that's why when people say, "I can't meditate," that's all it is. It's focusing your mind, and it's learning to bring your focus to what you want. Now, I don't know if any of you've heard of Joe Dispenza, but he's big into quantum physics, and he does a lot of very good work in the world. I was at one of his 3-day seminars, and he's very compelling. But when he was younger, he was in an accident that basically he was like basically crumpled, and his spine was damaged on 3 different levels. He was a doctor himself. I think in America it's a different kind of a doctor. He may have been a chiropractor rather than an MD, but he was told by professionals that he respected that the only way he was going to walk again was to get like major surgery on his spine where he had bars or something put in there, and even at that there was no guarantees that he was going to walk. And he had this really really strong feeling of no to that, which with his knowledge of the spine and everything, it must have been very counterintuitive feeling for him at the time. So he was lying in bed. He said he had nothing else to do because he couldn't move. And he started to visualize his spine because he had medical knowledge, obviously, of how the spine is put together. And he said he would start like rebuilding his spine. But if his mind wandered, he would go back to the start again, and back to the start again, and back to the start again. And he said it took him ages to actually stay with it for the whole whatever time, hour that it took him to do that meditation. And it showed him how unfocused actually his attention was. And by 6 weeks, he was up out of that hospital. By 6 weeks, he was out, like walking, having lunch with his friends. He completely changed his life, and it completely changed the direction of his life because he kind of made a bargain at one point that, if this works, I'll spend the rest of my life sharing what I know. So it was like he made a bargain with the universe to get out of there. So it's focus. It's focus. And I mentioned it earlier, at the start of this, how the awareness of I am the universe also brought up the awareness of how inconsistent I am in my thinking, how I go from one thing to the other without really committing and staying fully in the knowledge. I create everything. I am responsible for everything. What am I fucking thinking about? Literally. And when you, like, if you just set yourself the goal of sitting for 10 minutes, being completely present. Now, it kind of freaks me out, to be honest. Sometimes it scares me how easily my consciousness goes for a walk, you know? But it takes a little bit of training, a little bit of commitment, a little bit of focus. And what will happen then is you'll become very, very aware of what you're feeding with your awareness, you know, because you'll become aware of your conversations. You'll be aware of when you go into the isn't it awfuls, and you're feeding that energy. You're saying, more please. I'm looking at you, more please, you know? And it's like that I don't know the exact name for it now, but I think it's called the double slit experiment, where this kind of revolutionized how scientists saw energy and whatever. That basically the gist of it is they thought like energy was energy, and it was solid and whatever. But when you take your attention away from it, it actually goes back into, so it's like matter and wave. It goes back into the wave. And what they found is that with um, say scientific trials and whatever, if a scientist was focusing on the trial, they were influencing the trial, because energy impacts energy. You know what I mean? So likewise, you have all of this. If you imagine in the not seen to your physical eyes, there is like an ocean of energy around you. And at any moment, with your focus and thinking, if you could imagine, your thoughts are like, oh, let's make this for her. Let's bring this to him. You know what I mean? It's you're creating. That's why the imagination is literally a creative portal. What you're thinking about, what you're talking about, what you're focusing on, you're going to see more of it. You're going to bring more of it. Once you start to become aware of that, it will shock you how much of the same thing starts to show up for you. You'll be like, but it's cool, right? Because at any point you can go, oh shit, delete, and just imagine wiping it off a board and it's done. But try sitting. Now, if you're a meditator, you're probably used to this, but try sitting for 10 minutes, focusing on, say, pick something. Pick a beautiful flower in your mind, or a candle, or look at a candle, and see how much time you can actually stay with, I am looking at a candle. I am thinking about a flower without your mind going off. What this will do for your manifestations is that you will be in control of what you're focusing on, what you're bringing into you. And if you want to then think about something good for someone else, or, you want to bring something in, then all you have to do then is give it that intense burst of focus, knowing it's created, let it go, and then move on with your day. But it will have that intense focus of, okay, I'm creating this. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What's it like in my awareness? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Next. It's that simple. But you do have to be in that energy of being aware. Being aware, because you could do that and then unconsciously kind of go, but sure, that doesn't work, or that will take ages. You go into the house, that will take ages to come to me. But it's not. You're the universe, so it's instantly there. It can come to you in 5 minutes if you were free of the idea of time. If you were free that it takes time, it doesn't. If you can think about it, it already exists for you in creation. You couldn't think about it if it didn't exist. All right? So try that and see how it goes.